Hey guys, I'm Misty Buck, president of Miss Inc., and I want to welcome you back for another Marketing Monday. So, for those of you who are food lovers, who among us isn't? And for those of you who are wine lovers, I know that includes a lot of us, we have a very special guest today. I have Carlos here from Carlos's Food and Wine. He's going to tell us all about how this brainchild of his actually became up and during COVID, right? Like This is when this came to you. So we're going to talk about all things food and wine, but also marketing tips as well for how he's growing his brand new business that he just started during the pandemic. So welcome back. And Carlos, go ahead and introduce yourself. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Misty and Community Newspapers. Good morning, or actually good afternoon. My name is Carlos Sarmiento. I'm with Carlos Food and Wine. And this is a brainchild, like you said, that I started last summer during COVID. My background really is more in public relations and marketing, and I used that to leverage this new venture that I'm doing because I also love cooking and wine, and I figured why not do something fun with it, and it became a passion project, and now it's become a passion venture.
Yeah, I love that. So what inspired you to do this? So I think, we talked before a little bit about when people were in our kitchen more than ever, especially when things were first shut down, right? We were really more in our kitchen than ever. So is that what inspired you to get this going?
Yeah, absolutely. It really, and it transcends to that. I mean, the ultimate goal of Carlos Food and Wine is to get people back on their kitchen. Obviously, COVID has required people to be in their kitchen a lot all the time and to be safe. But also to try new things. You're tired of doing the same dish all the time, and you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to overspend money on elaborate dishes.
Yeah.
But you want something different. So that's what really prompted that. And I've been successful. I think the feedback that I've been getting is that the dishes are easy to do, but they're also unique. So you're always trying something completely new, and then obviously the wine factor. Everybody loves wine,
right?
It's a very an accessible drink to get now, and there's so many options, and actually so many cheap options. I mean, not cheap wine, but you can get really good wines at a really fair prices.
Okay.
So it's something that you can do over and over during the week or on the weekend,
right? And just plan it ahead.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. And that's really helpful because to me, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm making another salad or another this or another that, because by the time the day is done, all of my plans are gone. So I love that, that you have come up with this. So what's like the most popular or some of your most popular dishes?
Well, I actually brought one for you and the crew.
I'm going to grab it while you're talking.
While you're doing that, I'll talk. But basically, I like to call it appetizers and entrees are really my forte. I've done a few desserts, but I think the most popular one has been the one you're seeing right now. It's a... Let
me pull that. I just grabbed it.
There you go.
You guys can see that.
It's a lemon olive oil ricotta cake. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, olive oil on the cake, but actually,
sounds really good.
Believe me, it's very flavorful. It's very mild. I use actually Meyer lemon, so it's gonna have an extra sweetness with less of the sugar. So that has been a popular one I've been requested to make those in the last couple of months. So
I love that. I love that. So you can see it. We can see it in the shot a little bit right there. Is that powdered sugar on top of that?
That is powdered sugar on top.
Oh my God. If I wasn't even a food coma from Easter yesterday, we got another one coming, courtesy of Carlos. Super excited to try that out. Thank you for bringing that. So really quickly, if someone's watching this, we're going to get into marketing questions. But if somebody's watching this and they want to know how they can get that cake or make it themselves or get all your recipes and wine recommendations, where do they go?
Yes. Hopefully they'll post it up there. But you can go to www.carlos-food-wine.com.
Okay.
And you can follow me also on Instagram, Carlos L. Sarmiento, and it'll be posted there.
Awesome. That's so awesome. All right. So let's get into some of the marketing because not everybody had the opportunity to start a business during the pandemic, during COVID. Things were slowing down, and a lot of people actually stopped working or they slowed down their schedules to work at home and everything was in flux. But here you are, you started a business. So can you kind of talk through your journey with that and how you've been able to build your fan base? Like how have you been able to build this business during this time of COVID?
Right. Well, great question. Well, I had a little bit of an extra push having a little bit of a PR background. It helps to kind of be less uninhibited when you're approaching a new business venture or a project for that matter. I started that as an experiment. I started cooking things that I love to do and just taking photos and sharing them. And then people said, this is pretty good. You should do more of this and more often. And then I looked into it. From a blog, it became a website. And then I started following people that I admire in the food industry or in the wine industry, and see how they were doing it. And then you start posting pictures and friending them. And then before you know it, you start kind of doing more research. I started looking more into the wine world, which I'm not a big, connoisseur per se in that business. So LinkedIn came in pretty quick, and I figured, let me find out who's head of marketing, who's head of PR, and who can do what to help me promote my venture. And soon enough, you start seeing patterns. People start responding. People start saying, look, I may not be the person, but let me refer to you someone. Okay. And fast forward to almost a year from last year, and it's grown.
That's amazing. So LinkedIn has been really good for you.
Yes.
So that's something that we talk about sometimes, is trying to figure out which networks are going to be best for you. So can you kind of walk us through a little bit about, you mentioned that you looked for who was the head of PR and who was the head of this and how, but number one, why did you do that? And what did you say to them? How did you reach out to them?
Well, you first, obviously you're going to go to the brands or to the companies or places that you love as an inspiration. So you're going to have your preferences. So you're going to go to the one you always love.
And so you went to somebody that you were already familiar with. Right. You were like, I really like this.
Right.
Brand.
Or I would love to work with you.
Right.
Or promote it.
Okay.
Some said, yeah, we'll consider. Some said flat out no.
Okay.
And then some were like, you know what? Let me refer you to someone else. So, you do your research. You kind of start looking at the brands, the places you love. And then you kind of, look at who works for that. Obviously, because what we're trying to do is promote. For me, PR and marketing is the immediate place to showcase your work.
Right.
But then again, you might be surprised. You might want to go straight to the owner, and you'd be surprised how many times whether the president or the CEO responds faster than anybody else.
Wow.
Whether friending you on a LinkedIn or responding on an Instagram message.
That's a really good tip, because a lot of times I think we get nervous to do that. We think they're too busy. Their inboxes are going to be too full. So I love that you did that and that you just shared that tip.
It doesn't hurt to try, and you'd be surprised. It's like, if you don't knock, you're never going to know what door is going to open. So it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's like, oh, great. Now I have a direct, avenue with that company or with that person. And then it becomes follow-up. I can't stress the word follow-up enough, because they'll say, oh, thanks, we'll look it over. The typical, we'll look it over, we'll get back to you. But, you have to create also a schedule for yourself and a limit. You don't want to be too pushy with that person that you're trying to friend or you're trying to make a business deal with. But after a while, if you don't hear back, or if you don't, after a while, okay, trying to move on.
Cut your losses and move on. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. We had a marketing influencer and a journalist, Amber Lovebond, was on last week, and she was sort of talking about that definitely follow up, but don't be too aggressive that now you're annoying me. Basically, she didn't say those words, I did, but you're annoying me. But then to also follow up, because they're busy and they get a lot of stuff. And maybe that opportunity that you're offering isn't what they're looking for right then, but maybe something will come along that they are looking for. So when you were reaching out to these people, I think this is like a mystery for a lot of people. So you looked for who to contact. You said you weren't afraid to contact the heads, the presidents, the CEOs. You looked for brands that you already really liked and wanted to align with. All right. So those are a few tips already. What did you say in those messages, or what would you tell somebody who was looking to do something similar to say in those messages?
Well, before I even did that, it was a good thing to have what I call a portfolio of samples.
Okay.
I think it's important to kind of get yourself a good sample of whether it's photos, write-ups, whatever you're promoting. In my case, obviously the food, so it goes through the eyes.
Right.
So I already had a few photos of decent dishes that I did, because otherwise, what's the point? Oh yeah, you cook.
You come with
nothing. I haven't seen anything you've done.
Right.
But I think it's important to have some sort of samples ready to go at a moment's notice. And then the other thing, what also I failed to tell you, was that a word of mouth. Word of mouth is incredible. Sometimes getting a referral makes all the difference. And mentioning that, oh, I was referred to you by, or I saw someone mentioned that I should get in touch with you. So that already breaks a lot of barriers of familiarity.
Right.
So, but basically, I just say, look, I'm starting a new venture. I have some experience of this. I have some samples I would love to show you, and even test things with the brands that you like, so you can show them that you are a fan of their brands.
Right.
So in my case, I did a dish and I had a bottle of, I'm not going to mention the brand, but of that wine. And I said, look, I've done a few dishes with your wine, and I think it would be great if we can do something.
Right. I love that. So what has the response been like for you? How has that helped you grow this business?
Well, you have to be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of, follow up, like you said. Yeah. But it's been great. It's been better than expected.
Wow.
But it's because you have to be consistent. Mm-hmm. You have to always put something every week, or however many times you want to post something, and just be passionate. I think the key ingredient, if I can use the word ingredient, is passion.
No pun intended.
You need to have your creativity, you need to have your talent, but I think passion really transcends into anything. When you're talking to someone, you're writing something, it really jumps you when someone is so passionate into what they're doing.
Yeah, their energy is completely different, right? Yeah. Your energy, your tone, your way of approaching things is, and I love that. That's such a good tip, is to let that passion just shine through. And I also love what you said about patience.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, especially nowadays, we want instant results. But I also think on the psychological side of being a marketer and a business owner is you think, okay, this didn't happen quick enough. What am I doing wrong? Should I stop? You get discouraged, in other words?
Yeah, I mean,
and that self-talk can be kind of,
well, listen, you're not going to get it right all the time. I've made mistakes. I've made dishes that, are not up to snuff, and or posted things that didn't get any views, but it's okay. As long as you're still trying it. And you'd be surprised. I've had some dishes where I thought, oh my God, no one's going to like this. And it's become the one that people love the most.
Really?
Like I made like one of the first things. I made a croque monsieur, which is a French sandwich that you put in the oven. It's been the most viewed of all my dishes.
Oh my God.
So, okay. People like that kind of thing.
People like sandwiches in the oven.
Yeah.
Who knew? We like paninis here in Miami. Our pressed sandwiches, right?
Yes.
Like, that's a popular thing. So one thing I have another question for you. Yeah. But one thing I want to compliment you on before I forget is we have connected over social media many times over the recent years since we've gotten to, to know each other. And I have to say that you are so good at responding and commenting. So what I mean by that is he's not necessarily sending me, hey, Misty, can you do XYZ for me?
Right.
Is he'll saying, you know what, I'm going to like this tweet, or I'm going to respond to it and say, I really like it. Something happens on Instagram. He'll leave a comment on there or like it. And for me, that shows, okay, this person is actually engaged with what it is that I'm doing. And that just gives like another nod of credibility. So I just want to give you a lot of credit for that, because people, when we're talking social media marketing, and building relationships, social media marketing, remember, is social networking. And to network, you have to have those conversations, and they have to be interactive. And people think, social media a lot of times is like a set it and forget it type of a thing. Or I'm going to post something just to post it, or I'm going to put an ad out there. And they don't realize it's a marathon, not a sprint. And a lot of that is about building those relationships through those interactions. So I want to give you a ton of credit for that, because you're not just sending your messages out there and DMing people and posting stuff and hoping for the best. Like, you're genuinely, and I use that word sincerely, genuinely trying to build relationships with people.
Absolutely. So, and well, I'm so honored that you said that, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you read it that way, because really that's the intent. And also that it's a good habit to have, whether you're in PR marketing or not. It's just great business habit.
Yes.
Because people will remember that, hey, you know what? That person's always going to respond, whether they have the answer that you want or not.
Right.
But you never know.
Right.
Great things happen when people respond, and you never know where it'll lead you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And it sort of helps build relationships and stay top of mind. But again, one thing we say 500 times on this show is people do business with people that they like. And to get that to happen, you have to have that interaction and support one another.
But at the end, it's about human connection. Yes. It really is.
Yes.
So no matter what the business or the product or whatever it is that it is, if you can't connect with that person, you won't be able to connect with anybody else.
Yeah. And food and wine, what an awesome way to connect with people.
I hope.
Well, you said you've been doing better than expected this year, right?
I mean, I want you to try the cake and you be the judge. Don't take my word for it. But yeah.
I've got to try that. We all have to try the cake.
Yeah.
All right. So Oh my gosh, what was my next question I was going to ask you? Okay, so we talked about how you built your business a little bit. If somebody is, I have a couple more questions for you, but one of them is if somebody's like a local person, right, and they want to build a local business or a local brand, whether it's a main business or a second business or whatever you want to call it, what would you suggest for them? Thinking locally, because we have a lot of local small business owners and entrepreneurs on this show.
Well, for me, research is everything.
Okay.
And that's a very vague word, but research, starting with what is it that you're promoting? Is somebody else doing it? And if they are, that's okay. But what's your slant? What's your angle? What's your signature behind that? Because obviously that's what you want. You want people to remember you for something specific. Could be the same product, but you know what? You go an extra step because of the human interaction. You give it that oomph that nobody has.
Right.
The other thing is within that research, obviously in my case, this is a visual medium. Food has to get through the eyes first and then through your mouth and your stomach. But see what's going on. Follow some trends. Do that research into trending. I mean, look at Instagram. Some people are looking even into TikTok, obviously Facebook and Twitter.
Right.
But see what's going on. So you can be on top of the game creatively. And then on the business side of it, find out who, if you don't have enough funds to do it on your own, you could be a component to someone else's business. So
That's
maybe
a great tip.
So maybe researching other businesses that you like or that you've worked with. They may be missing that component where you just kind of like the missing link. That could be something too to start off, and then when you're big enough, you can just venture on your own.
I love that tip.
And I always go back to this word of mouth. That's the ultimate marketing. The best marketing you can get is word of mouth. Let people know what you're doing,
right? And
let them spread the word and say, hey, I know someone who wants to do this or can do this,
right?
And you'd be surprised.
Right. So when talking about your target audience, how did you come up with that? So you said, okay, like I want to do a food and wine business. I want to show people how to make these dishes easy in their home, but also delicious without 500 ingredients that are going to cost me $1,000 when I go to the store because I don't have all these special spices and stuff. So,
or stuff that
sometimes I read these recipes and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like next, I can't make it.
I know there's a few things that are out there pushing the envelope to be creative, but it really started from what do I have in the fridge? Let me just concoct something and photograph it. And then it became, okay, people are reacting. People are saying, okay, what else you got? Researching, looking at what people are doing, what dishes are popular. I'm trying to think of an ingredient that's everywhere. Last year, pomegranate was the thing. For some reason, pomegranate sauces, pomegranate this, pomegranate that. So, okay, let's do a pomegranate wine sauce for steak. And that's been a very well received recipe.
That sounds really
and
good.
It's really good.
So do you do dishes? I've seen some of your stuff, not all of your stuff admittedly, but do you do stuff that for special dietary requirements? So people who are like vegan or
I've had requests.
I'm pescatarian or
I've had requests and it's been great because it's a challenge and I love a challenge. You don't want to just kind of sit on your laurels all the time. You want to be challenged to do something you've never done. So I had a friend who requested a very unique type of diet, like almost no carb and no gluten-free and all this stuff. So I started researching and I've quickly discovered that Mediterranean diet is probably the most perfect diet out there in the world.
That's pretty much what I
and so I recommend it, and I've actually done a few dishes off of that inspiration. And I know I kind of put a little weight over the year because I'm eating what I'm making. But
most of us have a few 20 pounds.
No, but it's okay. We'll sweat it off this summer. But
exactly.
But I do get requests once in a while. Can you do more fish, or can you do something vegan or something less carbs oriented? So
I love it. So what are because it's always fun to talk about food. What are some of the food trends right now that you're seeing?
Gosh, well,
I see pan sheet things, or is that still a thing?
I see a lot of everything. I mean, it depends. I mean, the sweet world, what I call the sweet world, the baking world, the dessert world, it's a whole world unto itself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that's at another level. I'll dwell into that a little bit, but for me, it's more about main entrees, some appetizers, something that you can definitely pair with wine. And you'd be surprised, you can pair wine with dessert. but I try to concentrate on the main entree type of thing. I'm seeing steak again.
Steak is making a comeback.
Steak is making a comeback.
That's interesting. That's really interesting too, because we're seeing, I think in the stock market, I might be misspeaking, but I think something like the plant-based stuff is exploding.
Yeah. And,
right?
and high quality people, I think, are not afraid to shell out on high quality grade.
So Wagyu is a thing now,
yeah,
right?
Wagyu.
Like I have a friend that right now, I don't think he watches the show, but he's obsessed with Wagyu.
Oh yeah.
That's all he talks about. This weekend we're grilling Wagyu. I'm like, all right.
Well, it is good. It is. I'm not gonna lie, it is good. And and the other thing I've also found in the cooking lately is simplifying things. You'd be surprised. And for instance, like last night I was watching Stanley Tucci on CNN, the Searching for Italy, which is a great show. And one thing I've noticed, the less you put, the better it will be. So it's always reducing. Obviously, you want to have great quality ingredients, but you just want to keep it to the basics. And you'll be surprised how good it will taste. You don't have to put a lot of stuff on things.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what are your plans for moving forward now? So it's been about a year that you've had this business. What's in your we talked about direct outreach and how that's been really good for you. What are some other things that you have planned for growing your business this year?
Well, my bucket list for this business, now that COVID is kind of improving and it's letting us kind of have more liberties.
Yeah.
Eventually, I would love to do some travel related aspect to the food and wine.
Okay.
Travel and kind of go to wineries and vineyards and then maybe cover restaurants too. Show what those trends are locally and nationally and hopefully internationally, and then get inspired from what I see and apply it give it my own twist with my own recipes.
I love that, man. If you could go travel somewhere and then make a local dish from there, that would be so.
That would be really, that would be awesome. That would be super,
super cool because a lot of times you don't know. You haven't traveled, so you don't really have what that flavor is like.
But in the meantime, that's what I also do, and I take pride in that. I try to, as a storyteller, I try to tell a story in the dishes. Since you can't go to Italy or France or Spain or whatever dish I'm making, I try to give a little history lesson there. Where the dish came from, why, what inspired that, and then I try to put some pictures of that area so you can kind of transport yourself.
Oh, that is
so it's important for me to also tell a story. Because you're going to get the complete package.
Right. Grant, we have cake.
I know.
Get your fork. Get your fork. I haven't spit on it, though, I promise. I put it far away from my mouth. Here. Grant just walked in. He's going to try Carlos'
All right.
cake. And so, all right. So, I don't know if you guys have met before, by the way.
We just did earlier.
Oh, just earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But I've been following him for a long time, so I'm very honored to be here.
Everybody knows Grant.
Yeah.
So, and then he's with his Tasty Scout thing. Did you guys talk about that yet?
No.
Okay. So, here comes Grant.
Okay.
Have we started yet?
Yeah, we're on. We're on right now.
We need Joe to see what you think.
Off camera cutting. You can see his hand right here. That's Grant Miller's hand cutting the cake.
Yes. And you're supposed to cut it that big. Yes. Because you will love it.
You cut it appropriately. Good job. Oh my God. Look at that. All right. So here we go. We're going to have the taste test.
Wow. Let me see.
Let me make sure.
Make sure. Here.
Yeah, forget the fork. We don't even need that.
Awesome.
There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. So that cake, again, which one is that? Just telling
people
so they can go to your website.
Yeah, Meyer Lemon Ricotta Olive Oil Cake.
I know you've said it about 5 times now,
yes.
But is there a specific name for that cake? So someone was to come to you, I want the XYZ cake.
Lemon ricotta olive oil cake.
Okay, so that's a mouthful. Lemon ricotta olive oil cake. That's what you guys are going to ask for. So speaking of marketing, this is the perfect example of what to do. I want to give you another compliment here because I didn't ask you to bring a cake. You didn't tell me you were going to bring a cake, but he took advantage of it being in marketing. Yeah, exactly.
I was going to bring wine, but we may not make it through the show.
Yeah, I have a whole day to get through. So I may not leave here and get anything done.
Right.
So, so I love that. So he brought the cake and it's one of his most popular dishes. It gave us something to talk about. It's a great visual. Now we get to taste it, be aligned with the brand, get involved in it. And so I think that was super smart. So that's another really great tip, I think. And in my PR days, we do more social media. So sometimes we do some influencer outreach around this. But when you have a product like that, we would send stuff all the time.
Oh
out
yeah,
to people when
bring
I
your
was doing
premiums,
the
bring your
PR stuff.
goodies, something to show.
Yeah,
and
like-
keep to keep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you got to try it and be, especially something like that with food or like a product that you just need to try to get the connection with it. So I love that. So thank you so much for bringing that. So we have about a few minutes left. So I just want to thank you again for being here. Is there anything else that you would say in terms of PR or marketing tips? You have such an amazing PR and marketing mind.
Thank you.
Any other tips that you would offer?
No, just really follow your passion. Do your research. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to knock on those doors, even if they're high, double door, double locked. You'd be surprised. Some people may open that door, and that could be your in. And just spread your word. Let people know what you're doing all the time, because you never know when it's going to come back to you.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So, and especially the part about just two things that he said today that I love the most. So being passionate, knowing your audience, but taking it another level. And when you're doing outreach to brands that you like, don't be afraid to go to the upper management or even the owner or the CEO and just ask them, and then be patient. And then something else that you said that I love too was if maybe you want to start something on your own or you have an idea, you can also try to align yourself with a brand or company that already exists. And maybe there's something that you see that they don't offer that you can reach out and say, hey, maybe I can offer and help.
Yeah, that's why it's important
role.
to kind of read what's going on.
Yeah.
You might see some articles, hey, that company just launched this, but they don't have this.
Right.
And that's your in. Hey,
Right.
I saw your article, and that's also a connection, how to break that ice. Hey, I saw this great article that you were in, and I congratulate you. This is great.
Yeah.
Have you considered this? And then you put in your...
That's awesome. So think about what he just said. He did his homework. He saw the article. He told the person, I saw your name in the article, knew what it was totally prepared, and then went in and offered to offer something else of additional assistance, right? So didn't really ask for anything. He just was paying compliments and offering to help.
Yeah.
So true marketing pro. So I want to thank you for being here, Carlos. Anything else that you want to wrap up with?
No, this is great. Again, please go to the website, follow me on Instagram, spread the word. Remember, cooking is, as Chef Cousteau said in Ratatouille, anyone can cook. And I challenge you to do that. I have a lot of great recipes, and I also welcome any suggestions and requests. Eventually, maybe I'll even do private dinners where people can request that.
That's a really, actually, I was thinking of that. That's a really, really good idea. I think I was thinking
when
that
COVID
as you
gets
were talking,
better, I'd be more than happy to do that.
That would be a really good thing for you. And then, so you also sent out an awesome newsletter. Can people sign up for that on your website?
Yeah, my website has automatic subscription that you can get whenever I post something. You can get it directly to your email.
Yeah, I get those emails and I love them. So, all right, well, I want to thank you guys for being here today. We have another awesome guest coming up next week. In the meantime, make sure you reach out to Carlos, check out what he's doing here in Miami. Awesome stuff. Thank you guys for being here. If you want to be a guest on the show, or somebody who would be a good fit, or you just have a marketing question that you'd like answered, make sure to reach out to me, message me, and I will be happy to help with all of the above. So I hope you have a really, really great and blessed week. Let's hope this awesome weather continues, and we will see you next week for another market.